What we, the ITN camera crew and myself as a reporter have seen in the last 30 minutes here on this field has been some of the most brutal police treatment of people I've witnessed in my entire career as a journalist. There must be an inquiry. I don't know what the results will be of it, but at this stage, the number of people who've been hit by policemen, who've been clubbed whilst holding babies in their arms and in coaches around this field is still to be counted. What the end result will be, we don't know, but there must surely be an inquiry after what's happened here today.
I became involved because I was a reporter on duty on the weekend, on the Saturday, when my news desk had some sort of prior notice that despite the injunction being taken out by English Heritage and the National Trust, preventing the convoy from gathering at Stonehenge, that they were likely to proceed down this. So I was asked by my news editor to go with the camera crew down to Stonehenge or try and tag along with the convoy before it got to Stonehenge and see what materialised. We got to the Park House roundabout and left our car there and then walked up. I mean, we saw some of the preliminary skirmishes with the police before we walked up to be told by the police that we could go no further, and that's when we took a decision to come back, walk slightly back away from the police roadblock and climb over a barbed wire fence and up the side of the Beanfield to get into the field itself.
There's no window in this truck. What happened to it?
The police smashed it.
Where?
As we were trying to, at the top now, when we were trying to come onto the field.
We were also rammed on both sides.
Yeah.
There's a dent down there.
Police car rammed us on that side, and then there was a few of them stood around this side and smashed the window.
Was there no provocation? Why did they smash the window?
Because we were trying to get into this
trying to get
field.
through.
And they didn't want to let you come through?
They wouldn't let us down the road. They blocked the road. So we pulled onto here. There's nothing else we could do. We couldn't stop there.
Has anybody been hurt?
Nothing serious. I don't know.
Will you just take care of him for a moment? We've got a broken arm. Come on, mate. Well, they're just doing it. It's a religious war, man. They're just fucking us about. We've got a temple to go. Look, if you ain't going to say anything properly, it's just going to go on the telly. If we're going to put
why don't they leave us alone for a quiet festival, yeah, where nobody has to go where they don't want to go, yeah? Nobody tells them they have to go onto the festival site. It's a quiet festival. We leave the society alone. They leave us alone.
They say that you've been throwing bricks and people have been hurt.
Look at the guy that just had to leave the site, yeah? They had to take him off by ambulance, yeah? There's no
I was
violence
just behind
there.
them vehicles when they pulled up at the front there, and the police started running straight down the road. The first ones they got to, I seen it. They just smashed straight through the windscreens with the truncheons. They didn't ask anything, just smashed them in. And that's the only thing the people could do to get out of the way was to drive into this field.
I just went for a walk round there, and they said that I was going to get arrested for going for a walk round there. We haven't done anything, have we?
We just want to get off this field as peacefully and quietly as we can, and just go. Leave the county, you know.
Why can't you just leave the
They
field?
won't let us go. If we leave, we'd be arrested, or worse. Like, there's people you see bleeding. But I ain't gonna have my missus being bashed. Not now. I mean, it's now. You know, love and peace and all that's one thing, but when it's real people with real things happening, right? It just don't wash no more.
I think the feeling was that they wanted to be allowed to go, to leave the field peacefully, to take all their vans and all their belongings with them. It was then on the next stage of negotiations when Grundy then told them that they couldn't take their vans and all their belongings with them that tension mounted considerably.
Those of you that come out under those circumstances will be interviewed and dealt with.
You'll be locked up and dealt with. Yeah.
If I suspect that you've been involved in some of the offences that have occurred today, then you would be arrested.
Thank you very much.
my penknife. I've got my penknife and my chain.
As a reporter who's reported from Northern Ireland and seen a lot of police riotous confrontations and in Liverpool during the Toxteth riots, and I've seen a lot of civil disturbances in which the police have been confronted by large groups of people and had to deal with it in different ways and the consequences of that. And I've seen people being killed in Northern Ireland, and I've seen a lot of people being killed in the Falkland Islands, but the way that the police behaved in the final stages of the Beanfield and how they confronted people and their property in the Beanfield was, I think, probably one of the biggest shocks of my life, more shocking than any deaths I've seen in a war zone. It was almost like a scene from Zulu, where you had a whole line of policemen banging their shields, moving slowly, progressively up the field, smashing any vehicle or anybody in their way. And one of the scenes that sticks out in my mind was when they had smashed all the windows of a van, and they were then pulling everybody out of it forcibly by their hair most of the time. And one woman had a baby in her arms, and they grabbed hold of the woman by her hair and started to grab the woman out backwards from the van. And we were filming this, and at one stage a senior police officer shouted, "The cameras," and they stopped for a second and looked, and then someone with a shield pushed the camera and covered the camera with the shield so you couldn't see any more of what was happening. And that happened on several occasions.
When that motor stopped, make sure the driver is well identified.
It was barbaric, and I couldn't quite come to terms with seeing police officers acting in this way, treating women with babies in their arms, people who weren't armed, as far as I could see, who were trying to get out of this field, and they were being beaten, in some cases almost senseless, by police officers wielding batons. It was a total culture shock for me.
See what they're doing to us!
What we've witnessed in the last half an hour here has been surely some of the most brutal action by police forces in Britain for a long time. Whatever the causes, the end product seemed to be just hitting out wildly by the police, with babies in those trucks and in those buses, and young women with those babies in their arms were hit as well. At one stage, one of the cameramen from Fleet Street was arrested for being on this site. We were pushed and shoved to one side, but the worst of it all was that the people in those coaches who were trying to escape from the police were just grabbed, their windows were smashed, and they themselves were beaten, sometimes senselessly, on the floor. And this is not over yet. They tend to carry on with their campaign around here for another day yet. But whether they'll survive after what's happened at the hands of the police today, we'll have to see. Kim Sabido, ITN.
All the material was just fed down straight away, the whole lot. And we did send an edited version, but we sent the whole lot down first so that they had it. At that time, after we'd finished that and we left that point to go back to the Beanfield to see what was happening, to sort of see the cleaning up operation, the cameraman, Nigel Thompson, he actually said to me, "That's probably the last time you'll see that footage." And I said, "What do you mean?" And he said, "It'll disappear." And I said, in a slightly naively, I suppose, but I sort of thought that that would be very unlikely. And he said, "Well, it's happened before, and because it's so controversial and it involves the police, certain figures at ITN will see that coming in and will make sure it is never seen again by anybody else. When it came out, they put someone else's voice, a reporter back in London, on it, and they edited it themselves back in London.
The convoy of 150 trucks, coaches and caravans moved off shortly after midday to drive to Stonehenge in defiance of the law. They were 400, mostly men. On their 10-mile journey, they were observed from the air. Then the first roadblock. The holidaying public, now hopelessly caught up, turned round. The convoy came to a standstill at another block, then turned across the fields. They cut down fencing in preparation for the violent confrontation that followed, in which many arrests had been made. Windscreens were smashed and unlit petrol bombs were hurled. Police reinforcements have now been called up, but Stonehenge has remained closed to the public.
And when I got back to ITN during the following week, and I went to the library to look at all of the rushes, most of what I thought we'd shot was no longer there. And from what I've seen of what ITN has provided since then, it disappeared. And particularly some of the nastier shots that were taken of the battle in the Beanfield of the woman being dragged out by her hair, whom I know was filmed. We filmed that happening because I was standing there when it happened, and I was there to hear the police officer shouting the cameras, and the big baton, and coming in front of the camera, and a cameraman being dragged down from the bonnet of a car. Our cameraman being dragged down from the bonnet of a car because he was filming things he shouldn't. As far as I'm concerned, that was a form of self-censorship. It wasn't a rule imposed by the police, or it wasn't ITN reacting to what they feared would be an order from the courts. My understanding of it as it happened was that ITN decided to do that before it came to the police making an order or for the courts being brought in. They decided to impose their own self-censorship and make sure that the more controversial aspects of our filming would no longer be seen and would not be available to anybody again. And it was a conscious decision by ITN to do that.